Tier list, 90 cheeky tier lists. Tier list, 90 cheeky tier lists. Hello everyone, my name's Christopher Nightingale, and this is the first edition of Nighty's Cheeky Tier Lists. Now, I love a good tier list. I love people ranking stuff from best to worst and giving their opinions of why. I don't know why I like it, I just do. I look at them on YouTube all the time, and I don't usually jump on trends, but I thought, you know what the heck, I'm going to jump on this, I'm going to rank stuff that I find interesting, and hopefully you out there will find it interesting too. Now, as it's coming up to Christmas, and I've got my Christmas jumper on, I thought I'd rank Christmas films to start off with. So, these are my tiers, as you can see. So, we've got top of the pile, it's Christmas! And then we've got cracking, we've got festive enough, which is if it's alright. We've got naughty list, so if it's a bit disappointing. We've got lump of coal for absolute shockers. And then we've got haven't seen it. So I've got a list of about 20 Christmas films here, and I'm going to rank them. This might be easy, this might be hard. I'm not too sure. This is the first time I've done this, by the way. So, first up is A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrion. Now, I haven't seen this film since I watched it at the cinema when it first came out. And when it first came out, it was in 3D and you had to wear 3D glasses. It just gave me a headache. The whole film gave me a headache. I think Jim Carrey's good in it, but the film overall gave me a headache. So I'm going to actually put it on the disappointing naughty list. Sorry for fans of that film. Next up, Arthur Christmas. Now, I only watched this for the first time last year. Good colleague at work lent me it. And I absolutely love Arthur Christmas. I think it's brilliant. I think it's an absolute fantastic Christmas film. I think it's magnificent. So, it's going right up there. It's classic British humour throughout. It's gloriously animated. The voice cast is tremendous. It's a blast. It's an absolute blast, and it's got a really good message behind it as well. So the opening sequence especially is just a work of art, where they explain the age-old question of how the hell Santa gets round everyone on one night on Christmas Eve. They actually explain it here, and it's actually brilliant. It's actually really tangible. You could imagine telling youngsters how it's done and them actually going, do you know what, I buy that. So yeah, Arthur Christmas for me is top tier. Next up we have Bad Santa. Now, I have to admit, I haven't seen this film. I'm sorry to those out there that really like it. I have not seen Bad Santa. Maybe I should, because I've heard it's very funny, and I've heard Billy Bob Thornton in it is great. So I will definitely have to give that a watch. Now here's a controversial one, folks. Here's a controversial one. Firstly, is this Die Hard? Is this a Christmas film? I think it is a Christmas film. I know some people say it's not a Christmas film, but as far as I'm concerned, if it's set at Christmas Eve and it has loads of Christmas references throughout, it's a Christmas film. It's also, for my money, one of the best action films to ever come out of Hollywood. So I think it's top tier. Just going to throw it out there. For me, that it's top tier. It's by far the best Die Hard film. It's by far the best villain performance of all time by Alan Rickman. It's absolutely 2 hours of edge of your seat thrills, amazing action, dialogue's superb, the direction's brilliant, I mean, for me, it can't go anywhere else. Die Hard is a classic, absolute classic. Now, next we have Elf with Will Ferrell in. Now, I quite like Elf. I think it's alright. I don't think it's amazing. I think Will Ferrell's really good, and it's a sweet film. But there are other Christmas films I like more. It's not disappointing, definitely not. I would put it on festive enough for me. Will Ferrell's great in it, and there's great individual scenes, but I don't know, for me it's just, it's okay. It's okay. I'd watch it, but I wouldn't seek it off my shelf every Christmas to watch it. Now next we have Gremlins. Is Gremlins a Christmas film? I don't know. Say in the comments if it's a Christmas film. I don't know if Gremlins is a Christmas film. Hey, anyway, haven't seen it. I heard it's pretty good, but I've not seen Gremlins, so it'll have to go there. Next we have The Grinch, but the animated version. Now, again, I've not seen it. The Illuminations version, I've not seen. I should see it, probably should see it, but I've not heard the best of things about it. I've heard it's very different from the original Chuck Jones animated version, and it's also very different from the Jim Carrey version as well. So I've heard they've changed a lot of stuff. So I'm not, and colleagues of mine, friends of mine, have said it's not that good. But don't, this is just, I can't judge it because I've not seen it. I have, however, seen Jim Carrey's version of The Grinch, and I think that it would be in between these two. Do you know what? I'm going to put it as cracking. For now, I'm going to put it as cracking. That may change, but Jim Carrey's brilliant in that. He was born to play that role. It's a role tailor-made for Jim Carrey, that, and he just goes off the wall with it. He just goes up to, it's like he just, so they basically just filmed him and said, do you know what, Jim? Do what the hell you want. It's Christmas. Just go nuts. Just go absolutely nuts. And he's brilliant in it. It's a bit dark in places, actually. I think it's quite sad, the fact that he just he gets given a shaver he tries to shave himself as a young kid. It's a bit, I would say for kids it's a little bit dark. It's a little bit, but overall I think it's very funny as well. It's it's an interesting one, is The Grinch. I'll say Jim Carrey's best performance. I find it a lot of fun, but I can understand why some people don't like it, and I do know some people who do not like The Grinch. They don't like that the film because it's too much. It's Jim Carrey doing too much. He's like hamming it up. Now I think that's funny, but other people might not. So for me, it's cracking. But leave it. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my ranking of these. Now we're getting on to proper classics. This film's as old as me. This next film's as old as me. It makes me feel old. Jeez. Home Alone. Now, I think Home Alone 1 is cracking. I would put it ahead of The Grinch. I think Home Alone 1 is absolutely wonderfully constructed. I think the script by John Hughes is so spot on. Macaulay Culkin does a fantastic job, but he had a lot going for him already because of the script. The story throughout is really honed beautifully. It's the traps are amazing. Some of the stunt work in this, you've got slapstick stunts are still stunts, and what the stuntmen do in this is incredible. This is live effects. None of this is CGI. It's all practical, and they do an amazing job, especially at the end of that film. The music by John Williams, it's got to be up there with one of the best Christmas soundtracks of all time. This and the sequel, definitely both two of the best Christmas soundtracks of all time. For me, him being left alone and when his family come home at the end, that's not where I tear up. I tear up when his next door neighbour, the old man, who the kids have been picking on, making up stories about him. He's got a really bad name in the neighbourhood amongst the kids because they're all terrified of him. And then you find out halfway through the film that he's estranged from his own son and his granddaughter. And it's right at the end where they get reunited. That's where I'm starting to tear up. And that, for me, the heart of Home Alone is actually the old man. It's not Macaulay Culkin for me. The heart of Home Alone is the old man. And the old man is missing from the sequel, which I'm going to put as festive enough. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Now, by the admission of quite a few of the cast and crew, including Macaulay Culkin, this was a copy and paste job by John Hughes in the sense that it's effectively exactly the same as the first film, but set in New York. The one thing that this film has going for it is Tim Curry. He is a riot in this film. He is absolutely brilliant in this film. I love him in this film. Even I quote some of his stuff even to this day, like "Have a lovely day," you know. I mean, just oh god, he's too good. He steals every scene he's in. You wish he's in the whole film, to be honest. Apart from that, it is basically more of the same. If you like Home Alone 1, you'll probably like this one. And I know some people who prefer this one to the original, but for me, I like the original more because I think the storyline's a bit more tight and it's not relying on. There's less plot holes. It makes more sense, the first one. You could actually realistically, logistically go, do you know what? Yeah, I can see how that can happen. The second one, you're like, nah, never in a million years. What, he goes into his uncle's house and then sets up a load of traps in his uncle's house where he has no idea where anything is, and he just sets up a load of traps that are even more extravagant and complex than the first one. You're kind of like, yeah. If you park your brain to one side and go with it, you'll have a blast. But don't stop for 1 minute and actually think about what's going on, because it makes no goddamn sense. Whereas the first one, it actually made tangible sense because he was in his own house. Whereas this one, it's like, what, you know, flipping it. But for Tim Curry alone, you've got to recommend it. So I've got it as okay, and it's a high okay as well. It might even be on the verge of cracking or good. Oh, next one. Oh god, It's a Wonderful Life, top tier. Without question. As high as the highest one yet. It's a Christmas film, but you could probably watch this at any time of the year and it's still be an amazing film. It actually has very little to do with Christmas. It's basically has the best central message of any film ever made, in my opinion, which is that every person on Earth matters and impacts on other people. And what you do to other people, you might not even realise you're doing it, but it impacts on their lives. And if you weren't there, their lives would be completely different. And there's no film that encompasses that better than It's a Wonderful Life. It is unbelievable. It's just as close to. So it's close to cinematic perfection, but it's pretty close. It's really pretty close. They get every choice they have to make, they get right. James Stewart is just it's the best role of his career. He's absolutely perfect in it. It makes me cry every single time, and it's not necessarily the ending, which is famously, you know, one of the biggest tearjerkers of all time. It's the little moments. It's the moments early on where he's looking down at all the places he wanted to travel in the world and he knows that he can't, and he feels trapped and he can't get out of it. He can't get out of this town because he's got to. His morals tell him that he's got to help the people around him, and he can't do it to himself to leave. And that in itself is just fills me with tears. Gets me, it moves me completely. And then of course the fact that he goes on this. You have to, and you as the viewer are going along with. You have to go for a really rough ride with that film. You are going through. You are with him when he's going through the absolute pits of despair, and then to come out of the other side of it and realise that actually what he's done in his life has been magnificent and amazing, and he just never saw it because he was so focused on what he was missing out on. He didn't realise what he had. It's just beautiful. It's number one. It's got to be up there because I think it's the best individual film on this list. Whether it's my favourite Christmas film, you'll have to wait and see. But I think of all the films on it, it's the best film. Unlike this sack of shit, which is Jack Frost, which is awful. I mean, I don't need to say any more, really. It's a terrible film. It's just, I'm not even going to talk about it. It's crap. Don't watch it, right? I'm sorry for fans of Jack Frost. I think it's an awful film. It's just rubbish. It's absolutely, it's just, there's nothing, it's just, oh God. It's a weird premise. It's just, I don't know how you can look at that and go, oh yeah, it's really festive, that. No. This is a guilty pleasure one. This next one is a guilty pleasure for me. Jingle All the Way. I know it's rubbish, right? I'm not for 1 minute saying that Jingle All the Way is a good film, right? It's nowhere near the high... The top of Schwarzenegger's filmography. It's nowhere near it. Like he's really. It's an awful idea, and it's a bad message as well. Really, the bad central message of basically Christmas is only worthwhile if you actually get the number one toy of the year, and if you don't get the number one toy of the year, your Christmas is ruined. That's the message of the film. It's an awful message, but yeah, I don't know why. For some reason, it's so bad it's good. I suppose some people could say the same about Jack Frost, but for me, Jingle All the Way is so bad it's good. There's some moments in it that just make no sense. Like they're just, and it's Schwarzenegger trying to be serious. He's like he goes into kind of predator mode, but then he's like, but. Predator mode only to try and get a gift. Like he's beating up little dwarves and all these Santas at one point, like little elves, and it's just in a storeroom, and it's like, what the hell am I watching here? But for some reason, you keep on watching. I don't know, and the acting's so bad it's funny. So just because I find it funny, it has to go on okay. I wouldn't even put it as disappointing, even though as a film, purely filmmaking, it's awful, right? But I laugh at it because it's so bad it's good. Next one. Last Christmas, which I have not seen yet, but I will watch it at some point. Classic here, Love Actually. Love Actually, I'm actually going to put as okay. Just okay. Because for me, Love Actually is a weird one because it's not actually... it's not actually one film. It's a set of individual stories. And some of the individual stories I absolutely love, but some I don't really care for. So I'm like, kind of like, you can't skip through it. You know what I mean? It's... If like the young boy who falls in love with his girl at his prom and chases her through the airport. I absolutely adore that storyline. I absolutely love it. Some of the others, I'm just not that bothered. Like the Prime Minister, I'm not really bothered about that at all. I love the Bill Nighy but I love Bill Nighty and everything he's in. But there are other characters like Colin Firth's storyline. I'm not really digging that. There's a whole thing where they're shooting an adult film throughout the and two stars of an adult film start hooking up in real life. I'm not really bothered about that storyline either. It's, for me, Love Actually is great for one half and not very good for another half. So for me, it goes slap bang in the middle. Now, we've got two versions of the same film here, a bit like The Grinch. But this version goes right to the top, and it actually goes above It's a Wonderful Life for me. And that is Miracle on 34th Street. For me, this is the Christmas film I watch every single year. The original 1947 version, the black and white version of Miracle on 34th Street with Natalie Wood, Edmund Quinn, Maureen O'Hara, is absolutely perfect. It's as Christmas films go, it is flawless. It's such a beautifully constructed film. And Edmund Quinn, probably, I'm going to say hand on heart, I don't know of a better actor or better performance of Santa Claus in any film ever. I know some people are going to absolutely slaughter me for that because they're going to say, what you're talking about, Richard Attenborough is surely the best Santa Claus. No, I actually think Edmund Quinn is better than Richard Attenborough, because Edmund Quinn is he's just like a real guy. You actually believe that this guy is just a genuinely kind man who just happens to be Santa Claus at the same time. He's just a grounded guy who doesn't shout to the rooftops that he's Santa Claus, but he spends his whole life being just kind and giving and thoughtful and caring to anyone around him, because to him, as he states very clearly in the film, Christmas isn't just a day, it's a frame of mind. And he lives his whole life in that frame of mind. And it's just beautiful. It's just amazing to watch. I can't get enough of watching him whenever he's on screen. And every single time I was like, yes, you are. I want you to not only, survive court, but I want everyone to believe that you are Santa Claus, because you are the most Santa Claus type person I've seen in any film ever. And Natalie Wood, incredible performance for a child actress. She has to do stuff in this film that I don't see Macaulay Culkin doing in Home Alone. I think she's on another level to him. I think she's doing some really solid acting, considering she has to play the daughter of a recently divorced couple, and then has to play this whole thing of being doubtful about the whole what Christmas is all about, being doubtful of Santa Claus or any sort of make-believe. She sells that perfectly. She's brilliant in this film. Oh, it's just... I could go on all day, but I'm not going to bore you anymore. Basically, if you have not watched the original Miracle on 34th Street and you've only seen the new one, the 94 version, which I'm going to talk about now, please seek out the original. It's incredible. The remake, I think, is okay. And I'm going to put it above Home Alone 2. What do I think the remake does? Not as well as the original. I don't think the acting's as good, although I think Richard Attenborough is pretty decent in it. I think Richard Attenborough is the best thing about the remake. But he's let down by some poor story choices they make. They get him in the original. He got locked up because he hit someone, a psychiatrist in his work, who was trying to say that one of his colleagues was insane. Not that he was insane, one of his colleagues was. In this one, he just gets stalked by this random heckler from like the sidelines of New York, and where he's doing all the gifts of the toys he's getting heckled at, and then that person then shows up to him in the street and just starts saying this really weird dialogue to him, and then he snaps and hits him. They do some odd stuff, and then one of the stores is trying to take over the other store, so they send like undercover salespeople to try and frame Kris Kringle, and they make some bizarre, and it's John Hughes as well who wrote the script for this, who wrote the 2 Home Alones. They make some really odd choices with this, with the remake, I think, that don't help the story, and they don't help the actors. They don't actually make it makes it almost takes the festiveness out of it, which is weird. It's almost like it ceases becoming a Christmas film and it becomes more of a courtroom drama, whereas the original was very much both. But in this one, they really try and dial up the seriousness of this courtroom and this court case, and they really try to put him down. Like, they really try and test his skills as Santa Claus, which they never did in the original because they didn't have to. Whereas in this one, they really try and push that he is crazy because he can't do all this stuff, and they didn't need to go there. They just made John Hughes, who wrote the script, made some odd choices which don't help the film, in my opinion. The thing is, though, Richard Attenborough is still brilliant. The music is absolutely gorgeous in this film. That I will grant it. The music in this one is better than the original, but the rest of the film kind of falls a little bit flat. It's okay, it's decent, but it's nowhere near the original, in my opinion. Right, next up we have Nativity. Now, I'm afraid I've not seen it, folks. Sorry about that. I will have to watch it at some point. I have, however, seen A Nightmare Before Christmas. I'm going to get killed for this. I'm only putting it there because I've watched it and I don't see the big deal in it. I really don't. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm sorry, folks. I don't get it. But I'm going to hold my hands up. I'm like that with a lot of Tim Burton stuff, where I find it too dark, too weird, a bit odd, a bit surreal. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's all over the place. I'll grant that it looks lovely and it has some amazing animation and some of the songs are pretty good. But for me, it's a disappointment because I just don't enjoy watching it. I've got to hold my hands up. And I know that this film has its fans, and I know that this film has people who absolutely love it, and I'm probably going to get crucified and lose a lot of subscribers now for putting it there. But I'm sorry, folks. For me, I don't enjoy watching it. I have to put it as a disappointment. I'm not going to put it in Jack Frost territory because, it's actually a good film. It's actually a good film. It's just that I don't enjoy it. Polar Express. I haven't seen it. There's a lot of these that I haven't seen, actually. Oh dear, I need to book my ideas up, don't I? Right. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I actually have seen that. And I think it's alright. It's pretty cheesy, but it's actually alright. Look at his face. Yeah, it's decent. It's decent. Scrooged. I've not seen. Snowman and the Snow Dog, I think is okay. In fact, I'm going to put it above Love Actually, but below Elf. I probably will watch Elf over Snowman and the Snow Dog. It was a good continuation from the original Snowman, but I don't think it was necessary, really. And I don't think they did a tremendous amount that was new, in my opinion. So that's why I've got it as okay. The Christmas Chronicles. I'm afraid I have not seen that either. The Snowman. The original Snowman. I'm going to put it above The Grinch, Jim Carrey's The Grinch, into cracking. I think it is just, I mean, it's a beautiful piece of animation. It's very low budget animation. It was made for a low budget, but you can tell everything is hand drawn. It has a distinctive feel to it. The song, of course, Walking in the Air, is beautifully sung and beautiful in the film. It's probably the standout scene of the film, actually, where he's flying with that music. And if you watch that sequence, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up because it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely magic. It's magic. And it transports you to a really good place. For that reason, I'm putting it as cracking because everyone needs to see it. And I'm not surprised if anyone has it as regular yearly viewing at Christmas because it deserves it. Now, I'm a big fan of the Muppets. If you don't know, I'm a big Muppets fan. And yet, Christmas Carol, I will actually put it here. Now, that may surprise some people, but I think that actually A Muppet's Christmas Carol is not the best Muppets film. It's a bit... I think Michael Caine's very good in it, but I think, for me, that story is told better in 1951 Scrooge. You know, the Alistair Sim Scrooge, it's told better there. For me, A Christmas Carol is told better through that film than it is here. And I think for that reason alone, I'm putting it here. I think I have a fair amount of fun with it. I think it's okay, and I think the Muppets are pretty good in it. And as I say, Michael Caine's the best part in it. Songs are alright. But it's one of these films that I can happily go through Christmas and not watch. I have not watched The Muppet Christmas Carol for a while, for years actually. I will put on other Muppet films ahead of it because I think other Muppet films are funnier and are more Muppet-like than this one, whereas this one was the first one I tried to make Muppets play actual characters. And I think they're alright, but they're not actually... For me, it's Michael Caine. It's the Michael Caine show. It just happens to have Muppets around him. It's as I say, it's all right. And I know there are other people who are huge fans of this film, and I'm probably doing them a massive disservice by not putting this higher. But for me, I would probably watch it over Elf, but I wouldn't watch it over Home Alone 2. Right, there we go, folks. That is my list of Christmas films. If you enjoyed that, please leave a like and leave your comments below. I'd love to know what your favourite Christmas films are. Are there any that have been missed out? You know, I'm doing this tier list online. They're pre-made tier lists. Some of them have missed out some Christmas classics. I know for a fact that A Charlie Brown Christmas I would put top tier level, but that's not on here. The original Grinch animation by Chuck Jones, that should probably be on here, and it's not. Let me know. I'm intrigued to know. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, everyone, and have a Merry Christmas.